Hello everybody, thank you for joining us today. It's episode 4, can you believe it? It's episode 4 already of Tyros Tipsters Back to Basics, our show all about the fantastic Yamaha Tyros 5 keyboard. And you may think to yourself right now, well, why isn't this David presenting the show? Well, the answer is, again, for the second show in a row, David's been taken a bit ill. In fact, his voice has been gradually going since I first said hello to him this morning. So we got through to 3 p.m. and his voice is nearly completely gone. But don't worry, because he is here and he is going to play some music for us as well. But it's Chris here, Chris Hammond from ePianos, Tyros Tipsters, and I'm here to give you a few tips and tricks on this keyboard and answer some of your questions, importantly, because that's what this show is all about, is answering your questions. But first of all, I want to say hello to everybody. Good afternoon from wherever you're watching from today. And please write in a message in the chat box, won't you, and tell us where you're watching from today, because we like to look on my computer here and talk to people during the show. So Alba Roland, welcome Alba for joining us. Thank you very much. And wherever you're watching from in the world, let us know where you're watching from, because we also like to play a little bit of a game, which is who's watching furthest away from our shop here in Banbury, Oxfordshire. Not that there's a prize, but it's kind of fun to see where on the planet everyone's watching from. What else do I have to tell you? If you're watching, please can you do us a favour and press the thumbs up icon below the video, because that helps an independent shop like us get found and get seen on YouTube and tell the world about what we're doing here. So if you could do that for me, please, that's really, really helpful to us. And also, if you like this sort of video, then have a look on our website, ePianos.co.uk/TV, and you'll be able to see all of our videos that we've done. It's not just Tyros we do all the other Yamaha keyboards and different makes like Korg and Casio and Roland as well. There's all sorts of videos on there for you to watch. So welcome to everybody. Hello Master Lee from Derbyshire, thanks for joining us, and hello Flo in the office upstairs, and Welly Jumat, hello to you as well. Thanks for watching today. And the first thing I want to get onto is a question that we have in from Margaret Pashley from Lincoln. Thanks for sending in the question, Margaret, and her question is, how can I make a blank registration set? And Charlie, if we can have a wide shot of the keyboard, I can explain what Margaret is talking about there, because these blue buttons here, I'm sure all of you Tyros players will be familiar with. This is where we save our settings, and when you have got a big collection in there, these buttons are almost entirely blue all the time. But when it comes upon you to make a new set of registrations, or even save your settings in a single button, you find that they're still blue and you'd like to make them blank. Can we just go back to that top view there? And how do we make them blank here? That's the question. Well, the first thing to say about this is it's not actually necessary for you to do that, to make them all blank, to make a new registration, because you could indeed just override them and then save them as a new entry, and you won't lose your original settings, but you'll still be able to save the new ones that you're inputting. However, I can understand the need to have a clean slate, as it were, with these buttons. So I've got a little trick to show you here, and it's one of my favorite tips of all time on the Tyros, actually. And I'm going to show you how to make all of these blank at the touch of a button. And if we can go tight in on the screen, Charlie, I'll show you how to do it. What we want to do first of all is go up to the registration section, which is just here. All you have to do is press your J button, or indeed you can press the plus and minus buttons together just over the blue buttons themselves. And in the registration section, what you have to do is select a setting. And can we have that wide shot again there, please, Charlie? And when you choose a setting, a typical one might have all 8 buttons blue. Now what you need to do next, if we can go back on the screen again, is go to menu number 1 and then go to the edit button just here. And this is going to bring up this page that says registration edit, and we need to select all of these. So we press delete at the bottom, and don't worry at this point, because pressing delete is not actually going to delete anything without your explicit permission, so you're not going to lose the setting that you've selected. And you press all, and notice they all go highlighted in black, and then press OK. Now when I press this, can we have that wide shot one more time? Watch what happens when I press this. Keep your eyes on the 8 blue buttons just here. press OK, and when you press yes to all, watch the blue buttons here. They all go blank, and that's just how you wanted it, Margaret, to get started with saving your set. Now this is where the clever bit comes in, because what we can now do is save a bank that has nothing in it. So next time you go to select a fresh set, all you have to do is load up the blank registration. You'll see what I mean by this if I take you through the process. Let's go tight on the screen again, and the next step is going to be pressing up just here, and then menu number 2, and we press save. This is the point that many of you will be familiar with on Tyros, where you can give the registration a name, and this is why I said to you that you won't lose the setting that you loaded up to do this with, because this is the point where it's asking you to rename the new setting. So what I'm going to do is delete Theatre Foxtrot by holding down the delete button here, which is the 7 button down, and that gets rid of all the text, and I'm going to type in the word blank just there, and I'm also going to change the icon, by the way, because at the minute it's still the organ. So if I go to icon, and this is kind of cool, not everybody knows about this, you can change the icon so it can be something different, and there's 4 pages of them, and as you go through you can find an appropriate one, and maybe I'll choose this blank bit of paper just here, look, because that seems about appropriate, doesn't it? So blank is what I'm saving it as, and as I press OK just there, it's going to save this into my registration memory. Notice that we're in the user section there as blank. So let's just go to a wide shot again, please. And now the buttons at the minute are all blank, and if I choose another one, a previously saved one, they go all blue. Now let's pretend at this point that what I want to do is save a new set, but I first want to wipe those. The process would be like this. Go into your registration section and tight on the screen, look for the one that you've saved called blank, and let's go wide again, and as I choose blank, watch these 8 buttons, they all disappear, and then I can start building up my new registration, which I'll then call something else. So blank, the registration that's blank, will always remain in there in just the same way. Now you might have noticed there that I'm having to go to the 4th page, or is it the 5th page? In fact, yeah, 5th page to find blank. But another little tip for you is if you rename it, instead of calling it blank, you go back to the beginning and call it 0, 0, 0, and then a 4th 0 in this case, and then press save. What this should do is take it to page number 1. Yes, it has, look. So we're down at page number 1 now instead of being at page 5, and that's because the computer inside the Tyros orders everything in alphabetical order, and then before the alphabet letters, it does it in numbers. So you often see on our ones that we've done this a million times before, and everything's called 000 because we want to save it in one place. But if you do that, call your one 000 blank, it'll almost always be on the first page for you to select it. So Margaret, I hope that was helpful for you and has answered the question of how you can make a blank registration set, because that's one of my favorite tips, and I think that does the trick quite nicely. So let's see who else is with us. Rob Willis, watching from Loughton in Essex. Welcome, Rob. Thanks for supporting us today and watching the show. Please press the thumbs up button below the screen. It really helps us get found. And type in a question. If any of you have questions about your Tyros that you'd like us to answer, just type them into the chat box and we'll do our best to answer them for you. And Linda Fisher from Snettisham in Norfolk. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for joining us today and thanks for supporting us. What sort of Tyros do you play? In fact, everyone, type in what sort of Tyros you own. It's quite interesting to know who's still on the earlier models, and some people absolutely love their Tyros 2s and stick with them. I'm using a Tyros 576 note here. So what we're going to do today is David is going to come in and play some music for us. He's got some songs prepared, but he just can't talk very much, that's all, because his voice is going. So I'm going to ask him to come over and play a song for us in just a moment or two. So he'll get everything set up. We're just going to go to a short break. It's only going to be a few moments while we swap seats, so bear with us. And David's going to come and take my seat. We'll be right back.
So I'll not talk too much, but I'm here and it's great to be with you all today. And well done, Chris, that was a great start to the show. I'm just going to play a song called How Deep Is Your Love. I think it was originally the BeeGees, and then I think Take That did it. And this is a really good rhythm in the pop and rock section called Unplugged. It's right at the end, so you may not have found it, but it's a really good style. If I go to the pop and rock and you look on the screen, you should see it's on page 7, right at the end. It's called Unplugged. And it's a really good sort of acoustic guitar strumming backing. So let's see what it sounds like. There you go. It's a great rhythm. That's the unplugged rhythm in pop and rock. I'm going to swap back over with Chris now, let him give you a few more tips, and I'll be back later. Let's just change the screen for a second. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. That was a nice bit of music from David, wasn't it? Now, I've got another question that I'd like to answer that somebody has sent in advance. And by the way, if you're watching this for the first time, Tyros Tipsters Back to Basics is all about answering your questions on your Tyros. And you can send them into the show in advance. If you go to our website, to the Tyros Tipsters homepage, you can type in your question and we'll do our best to answer it in the next show. Or you can type them in and we'll answer them live for you as well. And the next question I've got is from Bob Bryant. Welcome, Bob, and thanks. I hope you're watching today. Bob, if you are, say hello. From Yeovil, and he asks, my music finder has gone mad with names all over the place. Is there a way I can fix it? Now this is something that makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, that question, let me explain what Bob is talking about. If we can go tight on the screen, Charlie, the music finder section, when I press the music finder button, is this. It is a long list of song titles, and what they do is when you select a song, it sets up the entire keyboard to play that song for you. You don't have to do a thing. Obviously you have to play the song, but it'll give you the right style at the right tempo with the right voices. It'll even set up a synchronized start so you can play the first chord and the keyboard will go for you. But sometimes this list, instead of being beautifully displayed in alphabetical order, will be a scrambled mess. In fact, come back to the screen here, and Bob, what I suspect that you have woken up one day and turned your Tyros on and seen is something like this, where all of these songs, instead of being displayed in alphabetical order, are all over the place, and you can't see how to get them back. Now, this is quite a common problem, and it's easily sorted out. What I suspect has happened, Bob, is that your finger at some point has nudged one of the buttons along the side of the screen. If you come back tight on the screen, I'll show you what I mean by this. The most common one is this top right one here that says is the F button, and it corresponds with sort by on the screen. And can you see that it says sort by style at the moment? But if I press that button, watch what happens. If it goes sort by beat, sort by tempo, none of these are alphabetical, but if I press it enough times, it comes back to showing sort by music. When it's set to sort by music, all of the songs on this list will be in alphabetical order. And if you have found that they're the wrong way up, by the way, in that the Z's are at the top and the A's are down at the bottom, that might be because you've pressed the sort order. If you set it to descending, you have the Z's at the top there and the A's down at the bottom. So make sure that that's set to ascending, if you like, and that will be displayed in perfect alphabetical order. Incidentally, there's no need to wear out your hand by zipping around this data entry wheel. If we have a slightly wider shot, Charlie, this data entry wheel here takes us through the lists of songs, but you don't have to whiz through that if you want to get down to Zebediah or something like that. What you can do is press this button on the side of the screen here, and if you press that, this will take you down, not all the way to the bottom, but it'll take you to the first letter of the D's, the E's, the F's, the G's, etc., all the way down. And incidentally, while we're in Music Finder, if there is a song that you like and you turn your keyboard on and you tend to play the same songs over and over, or if you have one particular favourite, there's quite a nice way that you can move it to a smaller list. For example, if Knocking on Heaven's Door was your favourite song, what you can do is select it and then press this button here that says Add to Favourite, the H button just there. And it says, are you sure you want to do this? And if you press yes, it'll duplicate it. So it won't go out of the main list, but it'll copy it into the Favourites tab just there, which you can get to by pressing this tab button just here. And here we've got Knocking on Heaven's Door and some other of our favourites as well. But there's only 3 in here, you see, so you can have a very limited list of your favourites from this great big list, which on our keyboard is about 1,851. And I should mention that Tyros keyboards, when they come straight out of the box or when you get a new one, they don't tend to have many songs built into them. But as part of our service here at ePianos and Tyros Tipsters, every single Tyros that we sell, we load in all sorts of goodies. So you get almost 2,000 songs in your Music Finder record. So there's plenty to keep you going, and also registrations as well. Bob, I hope that's answered your question. I hope you're watching today and that's been useful to you. Let me see who else is watching today. Rob Willis says, can we see the changeover? You don't want to see the changeover because I had to pull my shirt up to put the microphone on. You don't want to see my hairy belly, Rob, believe me. What else have we got? Have I got another question to ask? Somebody asked about the freeze. Oh, Albert, explain the freeze button for registration. Well, yeah, in simple terms, the freeze button will allow you to keep certain settings the same when you change registrations. It's quite a nice way if you wanted to, if you like the different voices that are in the registrations that you're playing, but the style keeps changing, then what you can do is have the freeze button activated, and that will allow you to keep the style just the same. In fact, the way to see what's being frozen, as it were, is to press direct access and then the freeze button. And look at the bottom of the screen now. Come on, type, that's it. And you can see at the minute it's saying if you have the freeze button activated, that's to say if the red light is on there, then it will keep the song the same, it will keep the style the same, multipad, etc. And you can customize it, Albert, to whatever you like. And that is what the freeze button is for. So you can use it in a very limited way if you want to. You can use it in a very in-depth way. You just set it up how you like it, depending on what you're going to play. But that's quite a thoughtful addition from the team at Yamaha to give us that ability, because it's good to save your settings sometimes, but sometimes there's a parameter that you want to keep the same the whole way through. So I hope that answers your question, Albert. Right, now, what else do we have? Keith from Peterborough. I hope you're watching today. Keith, thanks for sending your question in advance. And Keith's question is, please can you walk us through how to save a registration to a USB stick? And again, this is a question we get a lot, and I'll explain exactly how to do it because I have with me just here a Tyros Tipsters ePianos USB memory stick. And I'm going to put this into the keyboard and show you how you can change, or rather how you can duplicate a registration from the keyboard onto a memory stick and vice versa. So before I go on to that, I'll just say thanks for watching today. Thank you for supporting us, and please press the thumbs up just below the video, because that really helps an independent shop like us get seen here on YouTube and tell the world about what we're doing with Yamaha keyboards. Right, so my objective here is going to be to take a registration that I've made on the keyboard and transfer it to a memory stick. Why would I want to do that? Well, I might want then to email the registration to someone else who's got a Tyros. They can plug it in their own machine and they can play exactly the same settings as I've got. So this is how we do it. First of all, let's find, become tight on the screen, Charlie, let's find the registration that I might want to save. Let me see. let's say I wanted to save the one that's called yours just there, shall I? So at the minute, at the top right of the screen, you can see that we have the user drive and the keyboard drive itself, the hard drive. So essentially they're the same thing, but the hard drive gives you a bit more capacity for your memory. But I haven't plugged the memory stick in yet, so we're just seeing what's on the keyboard. But as I push the stick in, have a look at the top right of the screen here and watch what happens. It says device is connected, and then on the top right of the screen will appear a third tab, and this one says USB 1, which means it's showing the contents of a USB, and there's some of David's good stuff on there, but I want to add this particular registration called yours. So what do I do first? Well, I select it so it's highlighted in black. I then need to come down to the bottom of the screen and make sure I'm on the menu that says menu 2, and then I press this button that says copy, and this comes up and it says the selected files and or folders to be copied to the clipboard. Press OK, which is the number 7 down button. Then we need to go over and tell the keyboard where we want this duplicated file to go. It's not going to remove it from my user memory, it's simply going to duplicate it. So I go over using the tab button to my USB drive and then press this button that says paste. Press it there and there it is, yours. So it's duplicated. If I go back to user, it's still there. And I go to USB 1 and we can see yours has been copied there. And it's at that point that you can take out the memory stick and you'll find, you can go and plug it into someone else's Tyros, or indeed put it in your computer and email that registration to someone, and their keyboard will then work exactly the same as you set it up. It's quite a fun thing to do. Keith, I hope that's answered the question for you. I think what we'll do now is go back to David, who I know is itching to come back and play some more music for you. So we'll bear with us just for a moment or two while we swap over, and David's going to play another song for you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm back, and I want to show you another style. It's called 90s guitar pop. I started learning this morning, so I'm not very good at this song. It's a Natalie Imbruglia song, which I'm sure I've played in the past, but it's a really good song for 90s guitar pop. And if we go into this rhythm, you can see again, it's right at the end. It's on page 6 of the pop and rock section, 90s guitar pop, and it works really well for Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. So let's see what it sounds like. I'm a bit rusty, but let's see what it sounds like. It's a really good intro to start off. So Natalie and Imbruglia. I've got another one to show you as well, which is, that's coming back on again. I use the fade button then just to get rid of it. Sometimes the endings don't always work in my opinion, so the fade button just fades it all out and you can stop without having to worry about waiting for the ending to finish and things. Okay, I've got another one for you now, and this is called Wipeout, and it's a really good style. It's right at the back of page 5 of the swing and jazz section, and it's a really groovy, it's called Organ Groove, and it's got some really good funky organ sounds in there, and it's called Organ Groove Pro Rhythm, and I'm just going to use it with some of the one touch settings that are in there. I've got an intro set on this one, see what you think. Isn't that a great rhythm? That's the Organ Groove. I'm getting out of rhythm and all that with this. Must be the headphones I'm blaming. But anyway, that's the Organ Groove. Really good to try out. And there's loads of songs that will work with it. And you could even slow it down and use the same kind of backing just at a slower pace. Probably what I should have done. Anyway, I'll put you back to Chris now. And great to be with you today. Carry on listening. The thumbs up is great for our business. Really helps us to get found by other people like yourself who are Tyros fanatics like we are. We do this because we are passionate about these instruments, and it's great to share our passion and love for the Tyros and the Genos with you, and I hope you're enjoying today. Let's pass it back to Chris.
And welcome back to everybody. I hope you enjoyed that music from David. That thing he always does, and he left the keyboard on transpose 3. So I was about to play music that was very, very high up, but I spotted that one. So put it back to normal, because I've got a song to play for you as well now. But I just want to say hello to a few people, because I know that Ashford, the pianist, is watching all the way from Kenya. So welcome, Ashford, and thank you for joining us and supporting us by watching this video. And I think you might well win today the competition of who is watching furthest away from our store here in Banbury, Oxfordshire. So do tell us where you're watching from, by the way, if you're watching this video, because we like to know where people are watching from. And at the minute, Ashford, it is you. You're winning the competition of who's watching from furthest away today. Now, the song I've got for you today is it's an absolutely beautiful piece of music called Oh Shenandoah, and it's a early 19th century American folk song, and it is a beautiful piece of music, and there's some settings on Tyros that work really well for it, and I've made a specific style for it, which just like I was referring to on copying a file to a memory stick earlier on, if you would like a copy of this at home, then just send us an email and I can send you a copy for free, which you can use on your own Tyros. So let me set it up for you, and I'll give it a play. Okay, and we might want a wide shot here, Charlie, so we can see what my hands are doing. Okay, so that song was called Oh Shenandoah. You might know it already, but that's the setting that I've made specifically to use on Tyros 5. And if you'd like a copy that you can put on a memory stick, we'll email it to you. So you can put it on a memory stick and put it in your own Tyros, and it'll set up exactly as I have set it up here on this keyboard with the right settings in the style section just there. And I made a registration which expands on it a little bit as well, but you can have those for free because we like to give things away because we're enthusiastic Tyros players ourselves and we get stuck into it, we start to have fun and get creative with it, and we like to share what we've made with our customers and our viewers. So just get in touch. And things like that, incidentally, we give away quite often. If you're signed up to our email newsletter, which is free to get, we send an email every week on a Saturday morning, and it's full of the latest keyboard news, the latest videos that we do, the latest technical support articles that we've written, all sorts. Comes through to your inbox on a Saturday morning. If you want to sign up to that, go to ePianos.co.uk/newsletter and you can sign up. Now, let me have a quick look and see who else is watching. MP Dave K says great work, thank you very much for that and thank you for watching. I got another question to ask here from Sammy in Wantage. Hello Sammy, I hope you're watching today, and she asks, or maybe he asks, I'm sorry Sammy, I don't know. I've seen people on YouTube play a whiter shade of pale on their keyboards, but they do it with a falling bass line, and you can't get. How can I get that on my Tyros to do this? Now I think that's because the standard fingering setting on, or chord control setting on Tyros will only give you the bass for the root of the chord that you're playing. But you can alter this so that you can control that falling bass line. I'll show you just what I mean, Sammy. If we come tight on the screen, Charlie, let's go into the all helpful music finder, and here's another tip that I've learnt the hard way over the years as well, in that when you're looking for a whiter shade of pale, don't go to the W's, because you'll be there all day looking for it saying, oh, I'm sure it was on there somewhere, because it's actually under a whiter shade of pale, and I've got that one wrong a few times. So at the top of the list we have a whiter shade of pale just there, and if I load this in, what we'll find is I need to change the settings to get that falling bass line, and there's a couple of ways we can do this. The first one is to play the type of chord control called fingered on bass, and this is where, if we can have a wide shot, Charlie, if I were to play a C like this and then a G like this inversion of it, this won't, this will give me the right falling bass line from a C to G. The reason is because the bass note will play the furthest note in the chord inversion to the left. So if you can keep my mic on while I'm playing, Charlie, I can explain what's happening here. So if I put it on the standard setting, first of all, multi-fingered, what I think Sammy is experiencing is this. She's trying to play Whiter Shade of Pale, and this is what's happening. Okay, now that doesn't sound quite right, does it, Sammy? And I understand why it doesn't sound right, because when I change the fingering type, which I do by pressing Direct Access and then the ACMP button here, and on the screen we've got fingering type. If I put it down onto this one called Fingered on Bass, this is the one I want, because watch how I'm going to play now. I have to play the correct inversions, but listen to the difference. Bass is actually going down just like when Procol Harum play it. But there is another way to do this as well, because that does take a little bit of gymnastics with your left hand. And what I want to show you, if we go tight on the screen, Charlie, is this fingering type that's called AI fingered. And this will use the artificial intelligence, that's what the AI is for, to detect what note might be coming next. So if I begin with a C, a full chord C, all I have to play next is the C and the B together. And then when I play the A minor, all I have to play is the A and the G together. And it's a lot less taxing on your hands to play in that way. And when you get used to it, it's a really, really useful tool to have. So this is called AI fingered, and watch what my left hand is doing as I'm doing this. You could get carried away with that song, couldn't you? I couldn't help myself. But that, Sammy, I hope that's answered your question there. So it's the fingering type. That is what you need to change to get that authentic bass line falling down. And of course, it's not just Whiter Shade of Pale, it's for many pieces of music that works for. So what else do we have for you? David has got another song to play, so I'm going to bring him back in. What we might do then is, because we're running on with time a little bit, is we might fade out and finish with David playing, because I know he's got one more song for you. But one more question that Donald Bishop has sent in from Hull, and he asked, what's the difference between OTS link button and the auto fill-in button on the left-hand side that I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, and you've seen that we've practically had on the whole time. And the difference is the OTS link. What this is doing, Donald, is when I'm changing the variation here between A, B, C and D, the keyboard, because I've chosen A Whiter Shade of Pale from the Music Finder, has given me a selection of voices and it's built them into those buttons. So as long as that is on, when I change, first of all I had the guitar, the next voice was that classic organ, and etc, etc, and it changes and everything is appropriate for that song. Now if I didn't want that, if I wanted to say just play a piano and only have a piano, then I would turn OTS link off, and this would mean that when I change variation it will stick, whoops, if I put it on piano and voice 1, it will stick with just piano. Watch. So that is what the OTS link is. Now auto fill-in is something slightly different. Auto fill-in will essentially get your drummer to play a drum fill when you change between variation A, B, C and D. If I didn't have that on, this is what it would sound like. Okay, so it won't give me an automatic drum fill as I change between the variations. So both of those things, one-touch setting link and auto fill-in, are really ways that the artificial technology built into the keyboard comes to your aid as a performer and makes everything sound a little bit more professional. It's just one of those fantastic things that Yamaha have developed over the years to help the amateur get a really professional performance at the touch of a button. So I hope that's answered your question, Sammy, and Donald as well. I hope that's been helpful to you, and thanks for sending in your questions. And for next episode, which will be episode 5 of Tyros Tipsters Back to Basics, if you go through to the website homepage, you can submit your questions in advance, and we'll do our best to answer them in the show, or you can just type them in live and we'll answer them too. So what I'll do is I'll say to everybody, thank you very much for watching and staying with us today. We really appreciate your support, and if you haven't already, press the thumbs up just below the video, because that really helps an independent shop like us get found on the internet. And I'm going to pass over to David now as well. He's going to play one more song, and then we're going to fade out to a finish, and we'll have to say see you next time. But remember, all of our previous videos you can watch on ePianos.co.uk/TV. It's an easy one to remember, and we've got hundreds of hours of videos, demonstrations, comparison reviews that you can go and watch right now for free. Okay, so we're just going to go to a short break while David and I do the hokey cokey again, and that's all from me. Thanks for joining us, and here comes David.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. And I've got one more song to play to you. This is a favourite of mine. I have played it before. It's the theme to Minder, and it's a really good rhythm. It's in the rhythm and blues section using the blues rock. So blues rock, and you can use the intros in the middle of the song just to join it all together. I'm going to use intro 3 to start. You'll see what I'm doing. Bye.